So in this video I have this Gameboy Colour that was sent in to me from a customer. He mods his own Game Boys and he's quite good at it actually. He's having trouble with this one though because the D-pad, the down button on the D-pad isn't working. He says he's tried anything he could and he couldn't get it working, so he sent it to me just to see what I think and what I can do with it. He also left the motherboard screws in the battery compartment, he says. The first thing I'm going to do is though, I'm going to open this up, screw the motherboard in, and then just give it a wee test to see exactly what problems we are seeing ourselves here. So I'll need a tri-wing 0 to get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws off. So that's the first thing I'll do here now. Now with that off, we'll replace these screws that he's taken out. So we have 3 screws, 1, 2 and 3 on the bottom half of the board there. Now these are Phillips screws, so we can move to a Phillips 0 for these. So I'm just going to replace this back cover. I'm not going to screw it in, it's just for testing. So we'll just hold it together. And I'll get 2 batteries here, and I'll just go and grab a game here as well. So I have micro machines here. So hopefully there's a wee menu in that we can test the D-pad up and down on it. Can't quite remember, to be honest. Press any button to start. Is it just left and right? Oh, I think it might be just left and right. Yeah, it is. We'll see when we get into the game, maybe there's a pause menu. No. I've actually figured out a way to test it here. I forgot on the Gameboy Colour, if you're using a Game Boy game, you can hold a specific direction or a specific button to change the colour palette. Like if I turn that on now, you can just see it's standard kind of grey background. If I hold the up on the D-pad, it goes to a kind of a browny colour, sepia almost. If I hold right, it goes kind of green. If I hold left, it goes blue. But if I hold down, it doesn't affect it at all. It's just the standard background. So that's one way I'll be able to test this actually, so I'll go by that. If I do some work to that D-pad and it can affect the colour palette, then I'll know it's worked. So it's not all doom and gloom so far. I thought we were kind of going to be in the back foot there from the get-go, but it's not too bad actually. So we'll take this back cover off again. I'll remove these screws from the motherboard. Take out this cable holding the screen on, or connecting the screen to the board. Alright, so the D-pad down is what's having the issues here. There's no corrosion there or anything, so far so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow these wee traces up to where they meet here and test that. Unfortunately, the traces on the other side, the vias, lead to underneath this, so I'm not sure there'll be much we can do with it if we need to go to the other side, but I'll test here anyway. So the right pad seems to be attached to the ground plane, the left one, I think it connects to this P03 and it goes up, goes further up to one of these. I'll test the P03 first to see am I right there, you know. Yeah, it's definitely connected there, and that is connected to the ground plane like it should be. So let me get this under the microscope and follow that trace up. So it was kind of hard to tell on the white part of the board, but it's one of these 4 wee V's anyway, so I'll test, is it connected to any of them? And if it is, then we'll know the connection's good. So it's not making it up this far at all. Oh, not, it is, sorry, my mistake. It's connected to one of these. One of these vias right underneath here. Doesn't look like there's corrosion in that via, so it doesn't look like that's the issue. I wonder, could it be the button itself? Where did I put the... Oh yeah, I wonder, could it be this button here? I'm going to take out these buttons and I'm going to try to bridge that button with just my tweezers and see, does it make a difference. So I'll bridge these two pads for the down button and turn on the console. So unless we're mistaken and the down button doesn't affect the color scheme or the color palette, that button still doesn't seem to be working, so it's not the rubber membrane anyway. So there's definitely an issue with these, but just need to figure out what that issue is. I need to find out where that via is meant to go on the other side of this board, like where it goes from here, and check is it reaching that point. I might need to get another Gameboy Colour and test that. I wonder would that be online? I wonder is there a schematic of this online? So I have found a view of the board here with all the components of it on the Retro 6 wiki. So I'll use that to try and follow this now. So let me just start from the start again here. So back to this side. So this pad goes to... Okay, so there's 3 wee vias there. It's the bottom one. So on this, let me just show you the pad on the... This is mirrored. So going back to front. Let me see if I can get this image up. We're following this pad up to here. Let me show you the tweezers. Up to here, this via. So if we go back now to the other side, which would be here as well. This via follows over to, so it's, let me see here. That one goes off, so it's the second one along here. It goes over to here, which again would be, would that be under the, yeah, that will be under here. So it'll be one of these ones. Let me zoom out here and try and follow this. So it'll be one of these ones here. If you look at my board, oops, it is it, sorry. If you look at my board, see these vias here? That would be one, I think it's the second one here, but this third one looks a little corroded. So I might need to run a wire on that. I need to test that. Let me see if that, let's see if our D-pad does go to any of those. So the D-pad contact here would go up to this via, which should run over to one of these, which it doesn't, so it's not making the contact there, it's not getting through. Let me just put this into resistance mode and see now we're getting anything at all. So I'm getting nothing. I have a feeling that corroded via is the issue. Let me just check continuity between that corroded via and one of these ones up here, where it clearly just runs up into it. We'll see if that making contact up there. So corroded via. Oops, sorry, I put that in beep mode actually. So now that via is definitely an issue. I'll need to double check these board views to make sure they're the issue with the D-pad, but it'll definitely be something that needs to be sorted anyway. So if we follow these back again, so this left pad goes up to this via here, the third one in this little upside down triangle. And then if we follow it on the other side, on this upside down triangle, it goes along here. Hold on, this one. Yeah, no, it is that corroded via, it's the third one, so it is the corroded via's issue. So we just need to run a wire from, we could run a wire from here, actually just over and up to where this other corroded via is meant to connect, and we can just bypass that altogether. So I might just do that. Okay. So this corroded via goes up. I'll just get the microscope out for this again just to make sure. I don't want to end up wiring it to the wrong thing. So that corroded via goes here. It's the third one up. So what's the top of this little triangle? Let me just make a wee scratch on that just to see it. Right. Yeah, that's definitely corroded. You can see it very clearly on the microscope. Let me see if I can show you that. You see that one in the middle? Oh, well, ignore the low power warning, but hopefully you can still see that very corroded via. That's what's causing the issue here. So I can run a wire from here up to that via, or I can run it here and just into one of these traces, which I might do because I don't want to unnecessarily apply heat to this via in case I end up damaging that too, because I don't know how fragile these are. I don't often do board work on a Gameboy Colour, not this kind of board work. I've replaced power boards on them, capacitors, but I might scratch off some of this trace here just and wire it directly onto that. Right, so I've just scratched away a bit of that conformal coating there, and I'll just wire it from this via over to here and see does that fix our problem. So I'll just tin these up first. Tin this, and I'll tin this. Now for this, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use some 0.1mm enamel wire, which I think should be fine for this, because it's just for the D-pad. For this enamel wire, I just scratched off that enamel on the end of it, so I can solder it to this via. I was going to use a bit more flux, because in things this small, flux is really your friend. It just helps everything work better. So that's it soldered, and I'm just going to run it over. Run it over here and then just up in line with this via. Now I haven't scratched off the enamel coating up here, but the heat of the soldering iron will just burn that off, and eventually that wire will attach itself to the solder on that board. And as you can see, that's attached there now. Now I don't want to pull at this too much, so I'm just going to use a knife and put some pressure on it just to cut that wire away. Like that. I'll just give that a clean now and I'll show you what that looks like up close. So our wire runs from this via, which is connected to this pad, runs up there, bypasses the trace on the other side of the board, and just comes straight up, bypasses this corroded via, and on the trace there it's soldered in, so it'll connect to this via up here. Now again, this is enamel wire, so even though it might touch these points down here, it's coated so it won't be conductive. But just to test this now, I'll test from here up to one of these vias for continuity, to make sure we're getting a good connection. So the left pad on the D-pad down up to, yeah, perfect. So I'm going to put this all back together now and we'll test the colour palette on, because I'm pretty confident now that's the issue fixed. So I can start reassembling all of this. Now we'll give us a quick test here. Holding the D-pad down button, will it change the colour palette? No, it didn't. Or did it? Oh, I think it did. Yeah, it did. It is changing from yellow, from grey to yellow. It might be hard to see in this camera, but if I hold it like this with no button, standard, but if I hold the D-pad down, do you notice a bit of a yellow tinge on it? It might be hard to pick that up. Let me see if I can get a better angle. Not holding any button, holding the down button. There's a slight tinge you see on that. I think there's different combinations if you hold like down and B. So if I hold B, nothing happens, but if I hold down and B, you'll notice a very distinctive change there now. Ordinary, holding nothing, down and B, you see it goes a bit darker there. I think it's a grey or a black kind of filter on it. You can definitely tell a difference there now. So just holding B on its own doesn't give that, so definitely that down button is working perfectly now. So I'm going to just stick these last few screws in here and we'll be done with the repair. Now that's that Game Boy all back together now and fully working, and the wire, even though this console's clear, the wire is actually under the screen lens, so you can't even see it. There's a wire in there, so you wouldn't even know that was repaired like that. Not that it matters, like it was still a very good repair. It's just, you know, some people might want the aesthetic of the wire running in there when it's a clear case. But if I hold down an A now, we'll see, does it do anything? Yeah, it changes it again. So that changed it to kind of a red colour actually, which is kind of cool. So that's 100% working there now, and the problem was a corroded via just on the other side of the cartridge slot. Thanks to, shout out to Retro6 there actually, because I wouldn't have got that only for his board scans. So yeah, I'll leave a link to his wiki page as well, because it's very helpful for anyone looking to fix or mod consoles. I'll leave it at that now. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something.